for Empower Retirement. I am the relationship manager between the City of Sterling and Empower, and we custody and record keep your 401A and your 457B. I'm going to wait for the screen to pop in here, but before I go into a demonstration of the website and what you guys see, let's talk a little bit about the 401A and the 457 and how those differ. So on the 401A, once you reach 1 year of time with the city, you're going to be having what is called a non-elective employer deferral. Anybody familiar with a non-elective employer deferral into a 401A? Essentially, they're going to take approximately 6% of what your current salary is, and they will go ahead and put that into a 401A account, which is a retirement vehicle that you can start taking withdrawals from at 59.5. If you must take withdrawals prior to that, you pay a 10% penalty. Now, the difference between a 401A and your 457 is that you as employees for the city are allowed to put money into your 457, whereas the 401A is just for your employer to put money in on your behalf. One of the major fundamental differences between a 457 account and a 401A is if you were to ever leave the great city of Sterling, you can take distributions out of your 457 immediately without a penalty, regardless of how old you are. However, if you leave before 59.5 with the city, there will be a 10% penalty if you take money out of the account. Of course, you can roll it into an IRA, whether it be a Roth or pre-tax. While we're on the topic of Roth or pre-tax, essentially there are two savings methods that you can employ inside your 457, and that is going to be before tax contributions and after tax Roth contributions. The benefits of a pre-tax contribution is that it will reduce your current income for the year. So hypothetically, if you make $50,000 a year and you contribute $1,000 into your 457 account, when Uncle Sam wants to know how much money you made that year, you can tell him you made $49,000. You've effectively sheltered $1,000 inside of your 457 account. Now, if you choose Roth, you are saying, Uncle Sam, go ahead and tax me on this $1,000 now, because I want to be taxed in my current tax bracket, and I believe that when I'm older, that the tax bracket could potentially be higher. Because when you go to take your pre-tax money out of your 457 account when you do retire, you will have to pay taxes on it at your effective rate, which is whatever the current tax status is. So a lot of people save pre-tax, reduce their current income, and then in retirement, more than likely they're making less income than they were when they were actually working, so they take that at a lower tax bracket, and they pay less taxes on it. Some people like the benefit of Roth, which I do personally. You save money after taxes, and anything in the account that grows comes out tax-free, and you don't pay taxes when you're older, so you don't really have to kick the can down the road to worry about taxes when you're older. With that, pre-tax, Roth, we got that covered. Now we're going to jump into the website. Any quick questions on Roth versus pre-tax or anything I've said yet thus far? Great. All right, guys. So sign in here. You may see the screen. This is the enhanced security. Essentially, all this is doing is saying, hey, we're going to send you a code to your phone. If you don't like this, you can put in the code, and it'll say, remember this computer. That way you don't have to do this again. We do this because it is a benefit to you guys. That way you know that you're the one getting into your account. Also, if you register your account online, you will be eligible for what we call the security guarantee. Essentially, you have MSRP coverage and FDIC coverage when you work with a bank or a broker. But for Empower, not only do you have FDIC coverage through a brokerage account, which is $250,000 via cash or securities, you also get what is called the security guarantee, which guarantees your account against loss if you did not put in those credentials yourself. All you have to do to be eligible for that guarantee is to register your account online, because we believe that dual authentication, whether it be a phone, email, phone call, text message, is way more safe than just having a password. So this is what you see if you've never logged in. Who here is logged in online? Okay, so a few of us. All right, great. So when you first log in, you'll see a message here from the City of Sterling, and they can kind of say whatever they want to you through those messages. We're going to take you through a quick walkthrough of the website. This is your retirement lifetime income score. So you'll see here shortly that you're going to put in a goal as to what you think you need out of retirement. So it usually falls around 75% of your current income, because some of you may have bought a house and your mortgage will fall after a 30-year pay down on your mortgage. You will no longer have a mortgage payment. So now you're just paying property taxes, therefore you're not working full-time, you don't need your full salary. Some people are just renting. That's fine. That's why we let people, ask for 100% of their current income in retirement. So this is the likelihood that you will achieve your goal. Now, your estimated monthly retirement income is right here, and you can see what it's made up of. So you can see what your current savings is plus your employer contribution, Social Security, and then it's up to you to put in any outside assets that you might have to have a more holistic picture. So it starts out just baseline nothing, but if you have like a cash account or you have like an investment property or you have inheritance, whatever it might be, you can put that in other assets so you can see how that works with your plan. Moving right along. The changes you can make. So depending on how much you want to contribute to your 457, that's where you would change it here. So you can see contributions at 4%, your retirement age at 65, and then your overall investment strategy for this vignette, it is 60-40, which is 60% in equities, 40% in bonds, a moderate strategy right in the middle of our 7-tiered risk category, level 1 being very conservative, level 7 being very aggressive. So looking at what you want to set your goal as, does anybody here know how much money they need in retirement to live comfortably? A lot. He's right, you do need a lot. There's a reason why the federal government has a bailout that's saying that all companies over 5 employees need to have an auto-enroll feature for new employees. And the reason for that being is that people are not saving enough for retirement. This puts everything in a literal perspective. So right here, you put in your current income, your date of birth, and the percentage of your current income that you would need. If you don't know how much money you need, you can go into our Learning Center, which is at the top, and you can build a budget and see what you're spending on housing, bills, food, all those things. You can get a rough idea of what you're currently spending to get a better idea of what you're going to need in retirement. So again, if you only want 75% of your income, you can go ahead and put 75. Some people like to live the life of leisure in retirement. They're like, I want to save for 120% of my salary. We can help you do that. So just for the sake of this example, we're going to do 75%, and we're going to look at a monthly strategy. So if we move right along here, you can see how this changes through, let me zoom out a little bit. All right, so you can still see. These levers right here, and I'm going to sit down for this, actually change how much you're going to see in retirement. So if you want to hit 100% of your goal and you don't want to change how much you're saving, all you have to do is just ramp up the amount of years before you retire. So you'd have to work until about 68 or 69 to reach your goal for retirement, which would be 75% of your $54,000 salary. If you don't want to work until 69, say you want to leave it at 65 as your retirement age, this lets you see how much you need to start saving now to get to 100%. So you can see if you boost your savings to potentially 6% for the sake of this example, and you maintain that over the trajectory of your career, you will be at 100% of your salary. You won't have to work until you're 69. So each person is different, but this focuses around an individual that is right in their 40s that has a 75% of their income goal. Now, you're wondering, how much money is that going to cost me a month? Right here in the green and red, you can see that you will have $892 a month more in retirement income, $178 a month in more employer match income, which doesn't apply for you guys, no employer match, but they do have something that's way better than a match, which is that money being thrown into the 401A without you guys having to contribute anything. I mean, I just don't see that very often. It's one of the most generous contributions for employee deferrals. And then finally, down here, what we all care about, how much is this going to cost me out of my paycheck? And it's going to say if you want to increase it to 6% on a $54,000 salary, it's going to be $90.83 less a month. So it allows you to kind of look at how much that will cost you in the long run. Then you go ahead and hit review changes. It's that easy to change your contribution amount. And down here, you can look at your investment strategy. If you guys don't know how you should be invested, I would highly recommend you going through our questionnaire, which will tell you, depending on your risk tolerance, depending on your life goals, what's a good strategy for you to be invested in. A lot of people use target date funds, and essentially that says Okay, the year is 2050 on a target date fund. They go anywhere from the year 2020 all the way, I believe, up to 2070 right now. And the earlier the target date fund, say a 2020 target date fund, that is going to be more conservative and the most conservative out of all the target date fund series, because the year 2020 is already passed. Essentially, you want to pick the target retirement date that aligns closest with your retirement year. So if you're looking at it now, you already know when you're going to retire because you've introduced a savings strategy and you know how many years it's going to take you to get there. You basically take the current year and when you're going to retire and you do the math. So hypothetically, if you have 20 years left working for the city, I would choose a 2040 fund because we're about 20 years away from 2040. And a 2040 fund would probably be a moderate strategy versus a conservative strategy would be a 2020. If you just started with the city and you're going to work for 30, 35 years, 2055 fund, definitely more aggressive than a 2040 and 2020 fund. If you like to kind of get in the lab with test tubes, you have a fund lineup that you can choose from as far as equities. We have international, small, large cap stocks. We also have bond strategies for fixed income. If you need to balance out your portfolio, then of course you have the guaranteed account. While we're talking about the guaranteed account, I believe it pays out right around 1%. It's basically a cash equivalent. Inflation over a 20-year period is approximately 2.5%. This year it's probably going to be a little higher than usual. I will say that the cash account doesn't keep up with the inflationary trajectory, but it's way better than it sitting in your mattress. So if you have a checking account, try to look for a cash alternative that does pay a higher interest rate, because every year your money is worth approximately, over a 20-year period, 2% less than it was worth the previous year, just because that's how inflation works. So this little slider down here will show you the advantages and disadvantages to taking a moderate strategy versus a aggressive strategy, and you can see this number moves live with it. As far as making a distribution, you would just simply go here to withdrawals. If you have a hardship, that's how you would do that. Do you guys allow for loans on these or no?
I don't know.
Okay, so I would talk to your HR representative. We're going to look at the plan document and see if it allows for loans. But that's another tool that people use. You can see your investment here, your contributions, your rate of return, which is very important for a lot of people. They want to see my money's working for me, but how hard? If I took an aggressive strategy, did it really pay off? Is it worth all this extra risk that I'm taking? All those things and more are available here. The last thing I want to show you is going to be our Learning Center. So if we come up here, and if you don't want to do it yourself, you can enroll in what is called My Total Retirement. Essentially, that says Empower, just manage my money for me. Essentially, bare bones. It's a rebalancer. It rebalances every quarter. It scales down your risk over time, and you have professionals managing your money on your behalf. I believe it starts at 0.65% and then tiers down with every $100,000 that's in the account. So less than a percent to have professionals manage your money. I use it. It's better than essentially me trying to figure it out. I'm just going to leave that stuff to the professionals. But yeah, while this loads, I'm currently on the internet for my puck. Does anybody have any questions around their retirement account at all? Okay, cool. Quiet group today. Sweet. Well, when this does load, essentially you'll see the Learning Center, and that will tell you, how to build a budget. What's the best calculator to use for things like a car loan? Should I pay off my credit cards, my mortgage? All those calculators are available inside the Learning Center that you can use on your home computer, or you can do so through the app on your phone. Really great stuff. You can also call Empower on the phone, and you can get point-in-time fiduciary best interest advice about your current situation. So instead of you meeting with a financial advisor, you can call one of our fiduciaries on the phone, and they will assist you in building a financial plan that works best for you. If you have outside accounts and they've just been sitting over at wherever they might be from previous employers, I'd recommend transferring it over into one account. That way you know what it's invested in, who's managing it, so on and so forth. Also, the higher principal balance being the balance in your account, the higher potential return for reinvestment of capital gains, dividends, and interest compounding over time than two accounts with a small amount of money. This is where you would essentially choose if you want to do it for yourself. If you want help doing it, they will assist you in choosing a target date fund. Both of these things are free. Do It For Me is the managed accounts, but the Help Me Do It and Do It Myself are free. Do It For Me, that's where you get into that extra 0.65% that scales down over the $100,000 threshold. Let's pull up the Learning Center. Sorry if I'm going over, guys. I don't know how much time I'm allowed to have. But this is where you take that financial wellness survey. For any of us that have student debt, I don't know if you guys are like the rest of America. You know, people have student loans and they need a solution. Essentially, we help you identify, consolidate those loans, get it to a potentially lower interest rate. We give you a $100 gift card. If you do go with one of our bond people, and we assist you with all of that. I would recommend going into the student debt solution. It just helps you get a better idea of what you're paying and how long it'll take you to pay something off using our calculators. The Learning Center, which is what we're going to cap it off with here, is where you're going to see all those fancy little tools that I was recommending. And I really have, nothing else to tell you about. That's pretty much, your 457 and your 401A. Again, I can't tell you how nice it is to have, an employer that's putting in approximately 6% of your salary into a 401A on your behalf. You just don't see that these days, but that's one of the benefits of working for the government. So right here, you can see all the things that do come up in your life and you will need to learn about eventually, whether that be retirement saving, investing, spending, life events, or protecting your money. A big thing that people used last year was this financial setbacks tool, and it gives you a full understanding of what to do, how to replenish your savings. If you ever took a withdrawal during a hardship, how to get back to where you were before, and also on hot topics. I know this is something that people nerd out on. I do personally. You hear it on every news source. People are talking about inflation. Just read about it. Read about it from an objective standpoint. Don't read about it from a subjective standpoint. See the risks, see what has happened in the past, and get your own opinion on that. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I got another session at 2 if you're thirsty for more information, but it's going to be the same thing. But I appreciate your time again. My name is Zach Close, and I'm going to hand it over to the other folks.
Thank you.